Join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Susanna Ballard.
Present.
Commissioner Joan DeZuro.
Here.
Commissioner Paul Lair.
Here.
Commissioner Gabrielle Medley. Commissioner J.P. Thornton.
Here.
Vice Chair Tiffany Wilson.
Here.
Chair Jim Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Phil Annett. Commissioner Mary Costa. Commissioner Lonnie Stevenson.
Seeing that we have one vacancy today, Mr. Annett, would you come fill that spot for us, please? All right, Mr. Gilbert, correspondence and announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On September 23rd, the City Council approved the planned development rezone for the La Fortuna Barn Caves. The general plan has two upcoming workshops. This is for the 2026 update. On October 29th from 1:30 to 3:30 and October 30th from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Mojave County Library just off of McCulloch. It's important to note that this is come as you go, so you don't have to be there right at the start times. You can just come in, participate, and leave at any time during those hour limitations. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Let me start by saying that this is a public hearing and there is a structured order to this proceeding. The city staff will present the item. There will be time for the commission to ask questions of the staff, and then the applicant will have the opportunity to present their case to the commission. That being done, we will then open the proceedings to the public for their questions and input. I would ask that anyone of the public that wishes to speak limit their trips to the podium and microphone to one only, keep all comments to less than 5 minutes, and to stay on point and not discuss subject matter that is not pertinent to the decision being considered here today. This is a public hearing only, and no decision will be considered here today. After public testimony is taken, I will then close the public hearing and bring the item back to the table for city staff's conclusions for today. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. Mr. Gilbert, your presentation, let me just introduce it first. The item on today's agenda is ID 254947. This is a request for a major general plan amendment revising the future land use map designations for 1040 McCulloch Boulevard North, meets and bounds parcel number 107-15-015, 87.9 acres from open space and park to commercial mixed use, resort residential, and resort related island. Mr. Gilbert, your presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, commissioners, members of the public. First, I'd like to note that the city has received 3 emails from citizens regarding this hearing today. They have been emailed to all the commission members, and hard copies have also been provided to the members. We're here today to receive public comment on proposed major amendment to the Lake Havasu City General Plan. As a reminder, the General Plan serves as the city's long-range advisory guide for land use and development, a 30,000-foot framework that provides direction but does not grant entitlements. Any zoning action must conform to the general plan's land use designations, or the plan must be amended, which is the case before us today. Under both the Lake Havasu City General Plan and Arizona state law, any amendment involving property over 40 acres in size and located outside the city's original platted area must be processed as a major amendment. This triggers a more extensive public review process, including 2 public hearings and formal notification to affected agencies and stakeholders. Today's hearing is the first of 2 required public hearings. No action will be taken at this meeting. The second hearing, which will include the associated plan development rezone request, is scheduled for November 5th. The subject property is an approximately 90-acre parcel located on the south side of the island, south of Beachcomber Boulevard, and situated between the Nautical Beachfront Resort to the east and the Islander RV Resort to the west. And you can see it's labeled up on the screen for everybody to see. To the immediate northwest of the property is the Nautical Estates condominium development and Island Storage and Marine. It was formerly operated as a golf course on leased state land until it was abandoned by its operators. Following abandonment, a developer petitioned the Arizona State Land Department to initiate a sale. In response, the state held a public auction in September of 2023 at the Mojave County Courthouse in Kingman, where the current applicant, not the original petitioner, successfully acquired the parcel. Currently, the general plan designates this parcel as open space and park, consistent with its historic use as a golf course. However, this designation does not support future development, which is why the applicant is requesting an amendment. The property is currently zoned golf course, again reflecting its former use. This zoning does not accommodate the proposed mixed-use development. The proposed general plan amendment that the applicant is requesting consists of commercial mixed use in the northwest portion of the site, and that would be the dark blue on the screen. The resort residential in the central portion, and that's shown in aqua blue, and then the resort-related island designation for the southern portion, eastern, which is the green. These categories all support the uses proposed in the upcoming planned development rezone application, which will be considered at the November 5th hearing. Furthermore, no comments received from outside reviewing agencies, and the proposed amendment is in conformance with many goals and objectives of the general plan. The applicant has also provided a document that describes how they intend to meet additional goals and objectives of the general plan through their efforts. And both our interpretation of how the goals and objectives are met and the applicants are contained in the staff report, which is available online. While no action is being taken today, the applicant has submitted an Island Body Beach Plan Development Rezone and General Development Plan, and that's what's up on the screen right now. This plan includes commercial area in the northwest adjacent to McCulloch and Beachcomber Boulevards with approximately 62,000 square feet of retail space. Residential area in the central portion with over 300 dwelling units of various types, including 103 multifamily units. And a resort area in the southern portion, eastern, featuring a resort facility, bungalows, and resort-related accessory uses. And also preservation of a 15-foot shoreline public access easement as required by the Island Body Beach Zoning District. This plan is subject to change and will be formally reviewed during the November 5th hearing. And that's the one that's up on the screen right now. In closing, today's hearing is an opportunity to gather input from the public and Planning Commission regarding the proposed general plan amendment. No vote or recommendation will be made at this time. Mr. Chairman, that's my staff report. The applicant is present with their team and they have a long presentation of their own. I'll be open to answer any questions that the commission may have of myself at this time.
All right. Any questions by commissioners of staff? Anybody at all? All right, let's go to the applicant. Is the applicant present? Please state your name for the record.
David Megdal.
Pull that microphone up closer, please.
Can't see the arrow.
Is that okay right there?
No, you can
Oh, can
lift
I?
it up.
Okay, I didn't want to break it here.
There you go.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Planning Commission. My name is David Megdal, and I represent Falcon Eye Ventures, the applicant and developer of the project before you today. I've been coming to Lake Havasu for years. It's a place that means something to me personally, not just professionally. I've spent many weekends here, out on the water at Steamboat Cove, just floating, laughing, and spending time with my wife and kids. One time, I'm not even sure I should admit this, I rode a jet ski all the way from Havasu Springs to Davis Dam And let's just say I barely made it back before running out of gas. That's how much I love and live the Havasu lifestyle. So when we say this project comes from a place of passion and respect for this community, we mean it. We're not here to change Lake Havasu. We're here to enhance it. That's our vision. Next slide. And to do this right, we have assembled a world-class team of professionals, all deeply experienced in Arizona development and public engagement. Zoning attorneys, Barry Rydell, led by John Barry, with Michelle Hammond and Cassandra Aries. Community outreach, Susan Bittersmith and Prescott Smith from Technical Solutions. Architecture, Jeff Brand, George Malera, and Lucas Hendricks of Nelson Partners. Landscape architecture, Brandon Sobiak from Dig Studios. Civil engineering, Ali Fakik with Sustainable Engineering Group. Traffic engineering, Jamie Blankman from Lokahi. Each of these partners was chosen not just for their expertise, but because they understand how to work effectively with local leadership and community. Next slide. We didn't rush this. We spent more than 24 months carefully planning, refining, and most importantly, listening, not just to consultants, but to residents, business owners, and city staff. We were never focused on pushing something through. We've been focused on getting it right. What we're proposing is thoughtfully planned mixed-use community that reflects the energy and character of Lake Havasu. A hospitality-forward design with new resort, villas, and walkable commercial spaces. A focus on open space, including a public beach and boat launch access, trails, and waterfront views. A blend of housing options for year-round and seasonal residents. This is not a one-size-fits-all development. Architecture and landscape design that fits with the desert and lake environment, and yes, plenty of boat parking and room for people to enjoy the water. We don't view this as a one-off project. We see this as a legacy investment. Our goal is not to change Lake Havasu, it's to enhance it, to build something that complements what already makes this place great. We've listened to the community. We've revised the site plan to include more open space, reduced retail square footage, to minimize traffic impacts, relocated driveways, lowered building heights, and added buffers and screening. We understand how important shoreline access is to this community, and I'm here to assure you that 100% of our shoreline remains fully open and accessible to the public, all based on resident feedback. This is a community-centered approach to planning, and we intend to keep listening. In closing, I hope you'll see this project as a result of genuine collaboration, a long-term investment shaped by people who care deeply about Lake Havasu. I've spent years on these waters, made memories with my family, and I am committed to helping the community grow in the right way. Thank you.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, Commission. My name is Jeff Brand. I'm with Nelson Partners for Master Planning and Architecture. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you everyone for your time here today. Thank you, David, for the opportunity to work on this project, to be a part of this community, to essentially immerse ourselves in this community and try to do as best we can to come up with a plan that really reflects everything that this entire area has worked on through the general plan and your vision for, in coalition with David, for how development should move forward and what should be done here. Again, thank you, David. We've worked hard for 2 years. We're really looking forward to this presentation to get everyone's feedback and guidance. So to date, we've really immersed ourselves again in the community, visited the site, and we've used the general plan as a framework and a guide for dictating and determining what the best path forward here about how to develop and how to create a great project for the community. What's shown up on the screen right now is, as Mr. Gilbert presented, is the before and after of the general plan. And again, I'll just recap the presentation that we have here today is a presentation of the plan and then excerpts from the general plan just to show how we're doing this in accordance with the general plan and just how we extracted what we felt like were really important pieces of the guide work of the general plan and how that dictated what's being proposed here. So again, the current plan, the current general plan is for the open space and park. What's proposed is a combination Again, 3 different sections of that, which is the resort piece on the eastern portion, the commercial mixed use, and then the resort related residential in the heart of the project. So let's go to the next slide. Ironically, there's less zoning categories that are applicable for this piece of land. It's only under a single zoning district, so that's being changed from golf course to IBPD, which is the Island Body Beach Plan Development Overlay. Again, this is not part of this hearing, but I think it's good information to have. Next slide. This is the plan. So this is what's being proposed. The anchor of this plan, in accordance again with the general plan, is the resort piece on the eastern portion, the most prominent piece of the property, the most visible piece of the property, the piece of the property that has the most public access currently to date, has the most ability to be enhanced public access. That is what is being anchored as a resort. On the opposite end of the project is the retail commercial mixed use piece, which is up against Beachcomber, which services both the community and what's being developed on this property. And then infilling in the middle, we really feel like this mixture of different housing lots and housing types to create, just a different type of community here that's based on the resort and master planned with the resort, but it also ties in a very walkable, community-oriented way to a commercial piece that's out on Beachcomber. So that's the basis of the plan that we are proposing here today. Let's go to the next one. So as you see, this is our first slide where we're pulling out pieces of the general plan. As we read and as we've looked at the general plan very, very carefully, what we've seen here is it's the encouragement of large-scale resort development, a mix of commercial and residential uses. And again, doing this in a different way and creating a destination. And that's exactly what we've done. We looked at the plan, we looked at the piece, we thought, how can we create a great destination here? Let's go to the next one. And this is the mixture of the 3 different sections of the general plan. The anchor of this, as we said, is a resort-related island. This is medium to high density residential uses. This is a mixture of condo, townhome, patio homes, extended stay time, hotel. This is all part of what's being proposed on the most public, most visible, the eastern edge of the island along the shoreline. Let's go to the next one. The commercial mixed use is the next piece, again, outlined in the general plan. This is grocery stores, banks, gas stations, personal services. This is exactly the outline of uses that we're proposing here. It's a market, it's neighborhood services, it's everything that people on the island and people who live in this community would need and want directly adjacent to them. Let's go to the next slide. And then this is the last piece, is the resort residential. This is what infills the rest of the site. So this is, again, as we saw in the plan, the resort dictates the character, the commercial mixed use is the uses, and then the residential fills in the middle. Let's go to the next slide. From the general plan, the ask is there's an opportunity, and it's an encouragement for innovative resort and mixed use developments. And I really feel like what we're doing here and what's being proposed for your feedback and for as we've reacted to the community is something that's different than what's been proposed in the past. Let's go to the next slide. Part of the general plan is looking at growth management. And again, everything that we're looking at doing is 100% as working with staff is in 100% the goals of the general plan from a water conservation standpoint. Let's go to the next one. We know, as David said, in our community outreach over the past 24 months, a critical part of what we're doing is shoreline access. And as David had said before, we are maintaining the 15-foot, the entire shoreline is maintaining its access agreement. Let's go to the next slide. And this is a blown up map of what's being proposed on the site, is that not only are we retaining the access, but the piece of the site that's currently operating through the nautical land is actually being retained and enhanced as a boat drop area. All of the beach access is both being maintained and enhanced. So we really looked at the plan and said, what use is best for taking the areas that can be enhanced and developed as part of the shoreline access, and which area can we put the most public use so that it can be appreciated by as many people as possible. And so that's what dictated where the resort went on this piece, is that you can actually, it's in a spot where you can really maximize your enhancement of the shoreline. So let's keep moving. Again, as we've said, this has been a long process. It's been full of community outreach as well. This is part of the things that have been modified from the first iteration. to what's being proposed here today is that we've reduced the retail that's offered in the commercial mixed use section. It's 26% decrease. We've reduced the height of the multifamily building from 3 stories to 2 stories, the one that's directly adjacent to the nautical estates. Let's keep moving. In relation and in an effort to be as good of a neighbor as possible, we've located, I think, 37,000 square feet of open space and park, a brand new park and enhancement along the border and the edge to the nautical estates. We've modified the commercial mixed use piece to not have any shipping or loading or truck or vehicular access that's directly adjacent. The grocer has been decreased in size and has moved from something that kind of backed up to the boat storage area to one that is much further away, so that you have smaller, more neighborhood service uses that are directly adjacent. And the roadway has been removed from its adjacency to the park and actually moved internally. So there's been a lot of work here to be a good neighbor and to actually modify the plan and change everything about what we're doing from the commercial piece to make both what we feel like is critical to have a successful commercial piece, so it serves the community well, as well as something that doesn't impact the neighborhood. So let's go to the next slide. We've increased the landscape buffers by 40 feet. So our building setback from the nautical estates is up to 125 feet. We've added pedestrian access, secured pedestrian access to the new pocket park. The buffers to the Islander have also been increased. That's based on feedback as well. Now they range between 50 and 100 feet. The total open space of the site has been increased by 37%. So it's an 87% increase. So let's see, the 15-foot shoreline access easement is maintained across 100% of the shoreline. And the landscape package, while it's a side note, there is an enhanced landscape package, particularly along the edges of this property. So there's a lot of effort being put into creating a great edge to our property. Let's move to the next one. We have two enhanced crossings at the Beachcomber Boulevard to connect over to the Island Trail. The 2 existing lighthouses are being fully retained to celebrate this area's history. That was important as well. And then we're replacing an existing water line, and we're actually increasing its size from 8 inches to 12 inches to improve the water pressure around the area. Let's move forward. We're removing the existing surface pond, and it's being replaced with an underground reclaimed water system. We're installing attenuators whenever any boat dock location is implemented on the site, and all of the lighting across the entire site will be full cutoff dark sky lighting. Let's keep moving. From an open space standpoint, as we had pointed out before, 2.3 acres are going to be allocated for parks and paseos. This is an 87% increase upon what's required on the site. Let's keep moving. And the parking, again, is we don't want this place to be a traffic problem. We want to make sure that there's ample parking where it's needed. So it's over 50% increase of what's required. Let's keep moving. Regarding traffic, everything that we're doing here has been considered and was part of what the city's Second Bridge feasibility study was anticipating in that study, and we still have over 68% of capacity available for future traffic. Let's keep moving. As part of that, I think the location and the types of uses that are in the commercial mixed use piece is very specifically designed and located so that you're actually providing services that are now on the island instead of services that previously people were needed to leave the island and use the bridge to access the mainland. So part of that was to just keep traffic and to keep people here and to provide what's currently not available here. And I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Berry to conclude. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'm John Berry. I'm an attorney. I have to start with a apology to you all. I'm not sure whose idea it was. We'll go to the next slide. Whose idea it was to have a lawyer summarize something for you. So if you want to grab a water and maybe a couple hours before we get through this summary. But also, I do want to say thank you to the commission, but particularly to Vice Chair Wilson. I think what she did was very reflective of the collaborative nature of this community and the way that they are welcoming folks. Look, my family moved to the Valley when I was 2 years old from Michigan. And one of the things I've always enjoyed about Arizona is most people are from someplace else. It's unusual for people to be from someplace in Arizona. I'm sure some of you may be from Arizona. And it's been a welcoming experience usually for people who move from someplace else to come to our communities. And we have, while we're not moving in literally, we feel very much that we've been welcomed by the community. And Vice Chair Wilson, I want to thank you for catching something that we missed, which was our overlooking the fact that we needed to register with the Arizona Corporation Commission for an out-of-state LLC in order to do business in Arizona. I can't tell you how many out-of-state LLCs these guys have. That's not what we do, but it was very important to us that you found that for us and made us aware of it. So thank you very much. And again, that's just reflective of the collaboration in this community, and we feel very welcome, and we appreciate that very much. So thank you. I told you this would not be a short summary. So if we go on, not to the next slide, but everybody has stressed the fact that we've listened during a 2-year process. Now, as a lawyer, I've appreciated every minute of those 2 years since I get paid by the hour. But it really has been something that we've immersed ourselves in the community. We've listened very carefully. We don't presume to know what's best for your community. And it's been a very collaborative process. One of the things we heard loud and clear is the public beach access and the shoreline access. And we've really focused on that. And you've heard everybody talk about that. But we've got public beach access. We've got enhanced new public boat launching, and we've got new public parking. And we're providing a lot more parking than required, including trailer and RV parking. If we could go to the next slide, please. Now, the island body beach zoning category, I know there's been an editorial in the paper that says we need to deal with shoreline access, and they're absolutely right. But interestingly, the island beach body zoning ordinance has a requirement that you have to provide a 15-foot public access easement in this zoning category. I think he was going. I thought he was going to pull me off of here to save you guys. So that zoning category actually has that requirement. We're thrilled to do it. But we've gone above and beyond that. We've located the resorts we've talked about in order to ensure public access. And it's important to understand that 100% of our shoreline on Lake Havasu, 100% is open to the public. We heard about traffic, which talked about the fact that there is, with the second bridge, it solves a lot of issues, not only in terms of emergency services to the island in case of one of the bridges going down, but this is important to allowing the traffic to really function well with this addition to the island. Next, please. Our architect talked about reducing traffic by having these uses on the island, so people don't have to go across the bridges as much to get their services that they need. We've talked about water pressure. Boy, one of the things we heard, and we had 2 public outreach meetings, by the way. You all know that the requirement is 1, right? So we held 2 and lots of informal outreach. And we heard loud and clear in both of those community outreach meetings about the importance of infrastructure, good quality, new infrastructure. And water pressure was an issue for some of the folks in the area. We heard that loud and clear. Our civil engineer said there's a range of options on what you can do, from least expensive to solve the problem to most expensive to solve the problem. But the least expensive way to solve the problem was not the one that was going to last the longest and be the right way to move forward. One of the things I love about my client is they will do the right thing for the right reasons. And as a result, they are putting in a 12-inch new water line that will exceed the city's requirements for water pressure and fire flow. One of the things we heard from the Nautical Estates was they had some concerns about their water pressure as well. We don't impact that, but we have volunteered to replace an air valve. Some of you may know what an air valve is. I have no idea what that is, other than I'm accused of having a hot air valve. So we're going to upgrade their system. Next, please. We are going to remove the existing pond. We heard complaints at our public outreach meetings about pump noise. We heard complaints about mosquitoes. We heard complaints about some odors. So we will be removing and replacing that, and putting in place an underground reclaimed water system to use reclaimed water for all of our landscaping needs in this project. Again, a water conservation effort, but also we think an improvement to the area. Our architect talked about the importance of these open space corridors that are integrated into this. We have substantial building setbacks for the nautical estate condos. The minimum setback to the one-story retail buildings adjacent to the condos. And again, they have been and continue to be very involved in this process. We've enjoyed working with them. We've had multiple meetings with them. We've made significant changes, but we still want to listen and see what we can do. But for example, that minimum setback to the one-story retail is 125 feet. The largest setback is 260 feet for some of those condos to that one-story retail building. And in between it is an almost 1 acre park and green space that will be landscaped. And it will have a gate, a locked gate, secured gate for them to go back and forth from their property into this new park right next door to them to enjoy and use. And that's also a buffer to the proposed retail. Let's go to the next one, please. The new resort, that's the anchor. That's the heart of this thing. It's this new resort. You heard the general plan talk about the encouraging this, the importance of that. And we took that again, loud and clear. So we're going to have a new resort that will anchor this. It's going to offer public dining, public beach access, entertainment for the public, water sports accessible to the public. This is not an enclosed resort. It's something that embraces the resort, and we want the resort to, or the community to embrace this resort. The new retail we've talked about. Go to the next slide. Now this is, so, you know, I told you we moved to the Valley when I was 2 years old. And as a child, which was about 15 years ago, we would come to Lake Havasu. There are 5 kids in the Berry family. And we would come to Lake Havasu. We had a little aluminum skiff. And we'd come up here and we'd putt around on Havasu. And one of the things that always intrigued me when the London Bridge was, I still remember being a child when the London Bridge was proposed and enamored with it, was I went back and read some of the history of Lake Havasu and Robert McCullough's vision for this. And one of the things he really focused on was master planning. He wanted this to be a master planned community. So one of the things we focused on is the importance of this master plan, not only in terms of how we've integrated all of this together, but it will be a master homeowners association that will ensure high quality of the architecture, high quality of the materials, ensuring that the maintenance, the landscaping, the roads are all maintained to a very high standard for this almost 90 acres on the island. As we've talked about, there's a variety of housing here. We've had some feedback from some folks that they don't want certain types of housing. They want more types of housing. The general plan in multiple places, and this is our general plan hearing, the general plan in multiple places talks about the importance of a variety of housing, and it specifically talks about the need for multifamily in our community. Not my community, your community, I apologize. In terms of heights, again, we listen to the community, we reduce the heights throughout the community, particularly those adjacent to the Islander and adjacent to the nautical estates. Next, please. I'm getting close. We did implement dark sky lighting. And again, we heard that loud and clear in both of our meetings in the community. So we are taking that to heart. We have retained that existing lighthouse is an important part of your history, and the amount of open space. I know we keep talking about this, but I have actually watched some of your commission meetings. Couldn't charge my client for it, unfortunately, but I was able to watch some of your commissions and various projects that you've had over the last 2 years. And one of the things that I heard from the public and heard from you all pretty consistently was the importance of open space in our community and views. In this instance, the ordinance only requires a certain amount of open space for anybody that appears in front of you. If they meet that requirement, then they've met the requirement. Well, as our client has said, we want to go above and beyond those minimum requirements. I hope you've seen we've done that. With open space, we are 87% over the ordinance requirement for open space. And that's 37% of our 90 acres. 37% of our 90 acres is open space. Next. We talked about parking increase by 57% over the ordinance requirement. If we come through and we meet that minimum requirement, that's all we're required to do. But we're 57% over that requirement. This will be a new investment. Today, we know what construction costs are doing. But today, it's an estimated $398 million project for Lake Havasu. We hope, if we're approved, and we hope this will be the first step in this process, if approved, we intend to start construction as quickly as possible. It's something that we very much want to do, and we have the means to do it. I'd also like to stress finally that staff did determine in your staff report that the project meets many of the goals and objectives of the city's 2016 general plan. There's one more, I'm finished, but I do want to have David Megdal, my client, come back up with just some closing comments, and then would love to either take your questions now, listen to public comment, and then respond to that. You tell me, Mr. Chairman, how you'd like us to proceed after David Megdal makes some very brief closing comments. Thank you all very much.
Please state your name again for the record.
David Megdal. Thank you, John. Thank you again, Mr. Chair and members of the Planning Commission.
State it once again,
Oh.
please, with the microphone on.
Sorry. David Megdal.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair and members of the Planning Commission, for your time and thoughtful attention today. Throughout this process, we focused on listening and responding, not just presenting. This project has evolved significantly as a direct result of feedback from neighbors, city staff, and the broader community. From increasing open space to moving driveways to reducing building heights and retail footprint. Every change reflects our commitment to doing this the right way, not just the fast way. This isn't about maximizing density. It's about maximizing quality, compatibility, and connection to Lake Havasu's unique identity. Our plan brings new public shoreline access, a walkable mixed-use core, boat-friendly infrastructure, and a hospitality experience designed to elevate the island, not overrun it. Over a third of the site is dedicated to open space. I know we've said that a lot. We're not just preserving views and access, we're inviting people in. And the investment goes beyond amenities. This project will bring local jobs, both in construction and long-term operations, expanded tourism appeal in alignment with the city's general plan, thoughtful design with lighting, landscaping, and mobility tailored for Havasu, not copied from elsewhere. You've heard a lot today about plans and policies, but ultimately what matters is follow through. Who's behind the project? Will they show up? Will they listen? On behalf of Falcon Eye Ventures, I want to assure you we are committed to being present, responsible, and responsive. This isn't just a transaction for us, it's a long-term relationship with the community we respect. We're ready to partner with Lake Havasu City to deliver something meaningful, lasting, and worthy of this iconic place. We respectfully ask for your support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, we are at the table for questions by commissioners. Anybody? Ms. Zero.
Is it on? Oh, there we go. I had a few. I think you've answered some of them. I just want to make sure that what I've been reading, I'm understanding right. The 2 lighthouses that are on the property are going to remain, and then the local lighthouse organization that maintains those will be given access so they can maintain those, correct?
Chair Harris, Commissioner DeZuro, yes, absolutely. It's in our development plan. It's in all our graphics. And we have had conversations with the local Lighthouse Association. So the answer to that's an unequivocal yes. If you give me 1 second, Mr. Chair, if you indulge me for just a second, Vice Mayor Wilson, I forgot to tell you the punchline to your raising that issue was the next day, literally the next day after we got that, we filed a rapid express, whatever it took to get that filed with the Arizona Corporation Commission. And if you look on the website, it's filed and done. So thank you again. I'm sorry,
Okay, that's
Commissioner.
okay. On the water conservation, you mentioned a slow the flow education. What is that?
Chair, Commissioner, that would be a good question for staff. That is actually taken right out of the general plan. I think
Okay.
it has it in there. It lists the items in the general plan as examples of that.
Of that education?
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
it's a city program.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then your housing options, housing's always an issue in our city, as it is in every city. What are you anticipating the lowest to highest range of costs for people from your townhomes up to your duplexes, up to your luxury homes? I know it can change because by the time it gets built, but just generally.
Mr. Chair, sorry about that. Commissioner, I don't know the answer. I know several of you involved in the real estate industry. David, is that something you want to talk about? Is there a price range at this point? Okay. So you'd think he was the lawyer. He said, we don't know yet. We're still working on it as to
Okay.
what that range would be. But you can see there's a variation in lot sizes.
Okay.
The most expensive will obviously be those along the shoreline.
Right, the luxury homes
Right.
that are on the shore.
And then we've got
Okay.
various lot sizes in between. So unsure at this point.
Okay, and then we mentioned a lot about the pathway that the public will have. That's going to be free, right? I know there's one thing about having a pathway, but sometimes people charge for those. This is going to be a free pathway for public to go around.
Chair
Event.
Harris, Commissioner, absolutely.
Okay. Now, the other thing, they talked about the traffic, and I know we're working on the second bridge. How long do you anticipate this project to come together? So as we're looking at the second bridge being completed, so do you have any idea how that's going to coordinate as far as timing for the traffic?
Chair, Commissioner, last time I read in the local paper, and based on the work study session, I think that staff had with the council, we would not be open until after the bridge is completed.
Okay.
So that's our current, based on the city's timeline, that's our current understanding where we'd likely be.
Okay, that's my questions. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Annette?
Yes, I have the question. In your CCNRs you may develop for the project, are you going to limit or exclude short-term rentals, i.e. Airbnbs, Verbos?
Chair, Commissioner, again, too early to tell. Don't know yet. Would be interested in your feedback if that's something that's important to you. But one of the things, as you point out, is the CCNRs do allow us to do that. And my guess is, given the likely price range of these homes, that there will be a desire to ensure that short-term rentals are not something that are proliferate, let's put it that way. But again, it's too early to tell. We don't know.
My second question is the townhomes 36 proposed, I'm assuming those will be for sale. They'll be sale properties,
Yeah.
correct?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, yes.
The multifamily, you have 103 max units for the multifamilies. Are those proposed to be rental properties or are those proposed to be for sale properties?
Chair Harris, Commissioner, we anticipate at this point that they will be for rent.
That's all the questions I have for now.
All right.
I'm sorry,
Any further
Chair.
questions?
Commissioner Arnett, I'm sorry, one more thing. On those apartments, they're likely to be long-term rentals. So
Ms. Ballard?
You said this will be maintained by a master homeowners. Are the streets within the project publicly maintained or privately maintained through the HOA?
Chair Harris, Commissioner, privately maintained by there'll be private streets and privately maintained.
Thank you.
Ms. Wilson?
First of all, thank you for recognizing it's a small technicality, right?
No,
It happens all the time. I just think that it's super important with this large of a project. And unfortunately, you guys are the test dummy setting the tone for the rest of the projects coming, that the small things will add up to big things. And I think the community wants to make sure that we're looking at everything, right? Second, I have to imagine that we're so early in these stages that you guys are looking to see where the community is going to lie with approvals and non-approvals before we spend the additional funds on studying. I'm sure you guys have done the studies on housing figures and all of those things for pricing and all that. We're looking at a $398 million. Is that correct? Right. So pricing, I'm sure, has to be in line with that. And so I have to assume that a lot of the detailed questions you guys just don't have figured out until you get some sort of approval and moving forward from the community, correct?
Chair Harris, Vice Chair, absolutely correct analysis and insight. Thank you.
Well, let's keep in mind that this is a hearing for the general plan update, and those specifics will come at a later time.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions of the applicant? Mr. Lair?
To what extent will the residential area be gated off, or will it be kind of a public flow from Beachcomber to the resort area? To what extent is it really public?
Chair, Commissioner, it will be gated. There will be in the development plan booklet, I think you may have seen some images of what that area would look like, but it will be gated.
All right. Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much. I'm happy to answer questions after the public if you'd give me the
I'll bring you
opportunity.
back.
Thank you so much.
All right. This is a public hearing. Again, please limit your time to the podium at 5 minutes, and I will now receive whoever would like to speak. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, this is Harold Meeks. I'm a resident here. It sounds like a beautiful plan. I haven't seen it or anything. The thing that I'm mainly concerned about is the infrastructure, just because I haven't heard anything about what they were going to do with the sewage, because our sewage is pretty much at max. We aren't going any farther in the town because we don't have more capacity. I'm concerned about our electrical. I'm an electrical contractor, and when I moved here, the voltage was always constant at 120. And as homes have been moving in, and a lot of homes have came in during the summer, it's only an issue in the summer. And I actually had an issue with this in California, and I finally got it straightened out. But and that's part of the reason why people are having higher electric bills right now, is because, and I couldn't get it through to the, but the issue is during the summer, because I watch my voltage 24/7, it drops down to 116. And as the voltage drops, your electric bill goes up. Anyone here knows their electric bill has been slowly creeping up the last 3 years, and that's because the voltage has slowly been going down for the last 3 years. And so those are the concerns I have. I don't have any problem with people building. It's their land. I just don't want there to be a problem with sewage, and I definitely don't want my electric bill to just keep going up because of the voltage. We're basically at the legal limit for how low the voltage can go. By federal standards, you're not allowed to go below 116. And so I had a big problem with Edison in Southern California, but I told them, hey, I have it on record that the voltage has dropped below that, and I could get a class action suit for every person's air conditioner that burned up, every refrigerator. And if you look around town, you see a lot of air conditioners being replaced. So I'm just telling you that these are my concerns. I think that we need to do something about our electric and our sewer. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Meeks. Next.
Our Commissioner, is we on? Tim Kelly, Deputy Director of Public Works for Lake Havasu City. So in response to the sewage comment directly and to electric, we obviously have no control over the electric. It's not within the city's purview. The comment that the sewage is at or near capacity is false. The current capacity on average for the city is 52% of the existing capacity for the city. We've also completed a master plan, which is available on the city's website, that shows our projections go out to 2040, not even getting to 75% of capacity. In fact, I think the number ends up at about 63%. So there is no sewage capacity issue, just to be very clear.
Thank you for the clarification.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Emiliano Torres. I am a resident, and I think the application says it all. This is a major general plan amendment from open space to commercial mixed. And I am just amazed that as the commission, no one is addressing the fact that this is a change to the general plan. We're all discussing the minutia of individual items within this plan, within this development, but no one is addressing that the general plan is going to be amended. This is especially important today because the general plan is in the process of being modified. Perhaps at the time it's modified, it could be modified to meet these requirements. Now, pardon me if I go through these things rather quickly and shotgun them, because I had to listen to the presentation. Public beach. Yeah, it's a public beach, but you can't get to it. You have to ask permission from the owners to get to the public beach. There's public access, but let me just say this. Walmart has public access parking lots, but they can exclude me at any time they like. Just like all the residents could be excluded for who knows how many reasons. They're talking about a driveway. Again, driveway on private property. The public may not be able to access this beach because they have to go through private property. Shoreline access. Yes, shoreline access from a boat, but not necessarily public access from a parking area. I am amazed at the person who presented this, talked about the general plan and things like provide opportunities and variety of housing. Yes, the general plan dictates those things, but within the general plan, these items are not part of open space. They're making major changes to the general plan, and again, you're not addressing that. Parking, yes, there's going to be more parking, but there's going to be more need for people who live here for that parking. Doesn't mean it's going to be available to the public. Open space is increasing. Perhaps there'll be some nice parks, but again, they're not open to the public. The other issue was I saw there was $398 million development. Wonderful. But the general plan doesn't address the affordability issue. That's a red herring. And to respond to Mrs. DeZuro comment about giving access to the lighthouse, which can be rescinded at any time. It's private. We're at the mercy of them allowing us to get to the lighthouses. And as far as it being free, again, it's free until they don't want it to be free. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I said thank you.
No, thank you.
Next, anybody like to speak? Please keep in mind that this is a hearing for the general plan amendment.
Good morning. My name is Steve Greeley. I understand this is a general plan amendment, but I think there's other issues that should be taken into consideration as this project moves forward. I do have a question regarding zoning. Is there any other agency, government agency outside of Lake Havasu City that can specify rezoning in our community? Is it all? It's only up to us, correct? The Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council. Like, I guess my question is, can the state dictate zoning changes to our community?
In some ways they can. They do that through state laws. I'll defer to our city attorney over there to answer that question in more detail.
That's correct. We're provided authority through the state law to enact zoning for our community. However, with respect to state land in and itself, as far as our zoning authority, it may be limited when it comes to state and federal land.
Okay, thank you. So with that in mind, it's pretty much up to us. I say just say no. Today's proceeding on a zoning request will send a message to the state land department if we do not rezone any state trust land that has been auctioned off. This is creating a problem for our community, not only on the island, but also along our shoreline potentially. I say that allowing this to happen will set a precedent, and that will lead to potential development on the north side of the island and also Body Beach. Those properties are under the control of the State Land Department. I'm a member of the General Plan Steering Committee. My hope is that the new general plan, which will be voted on by the voters next November, will have stronger language to prevent any sort of development on the island and also along our shoreline. 2000 general plan involved the island-specific plan, which has kind of lost its way over the years, but if that would have been something that the city would have continued to uphold, we most likely would not be having this conversation today. So I just say no. Send a message that our shoreline and our island is not open for public sale and potential development. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Kelly Lutz. Kind of contrary to the last speaker, we're all looking for proper development for a wonderful resort like that. What we've seen in the past at the Riviera is a lot of promises about restaurants and things that never came to be. So the only concern that I have, and the presentation, of course, I was at the very first presentation that you put on, and I like the presentation that you have. I would just like to, I'd like to know if there's going to be a little bit more guaranteed that the presentation and renderings that you have are going to come out the way that you say. And then, of course, we're going to be interested in the order of your build and how this is all going to come about. Are you going to put the housing first? Are you going to put the commercial first? Are you going to put the restaurant and the resort area first? None of that's been presented. So that's more of a concern, although I support your idea of what you want to do with it instead of a golf course. It was a golf course before, and it was a barren golf course. So it's a good idea to have this developed into a beautiful resort to bring additional revenue and people into a beautiful resort in Havasu. So, I mean, basically I support it. I just wish that there would be more guarantees about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And I know you've been working on this for 2 years, so I think you have a pretty good idea of what you're doing and what you're going to do. Along with that, the only other thing, of course, we respect that you're going to do something with the 15-foot shoreline. And of course, a shoreline access is by boat, basically. And I think that you've designed in a public access to it too. But could you do something more than just a 15-foot shoreline? A 15-foot shoreline is from here to that wall. I mean, that's it. So if you could enhance the shoreline and if you could do something for the shoreline access, I think that would go a long way for this project. But yeah, Lake Havasu needs a resort. Lake Havasu needs a development like this. And Lake Havasu appreciates the money and effort that you've all put into it. So I hope that at some point it goes forward in some way. I just hope that there's some kind of control to make sure that it goes forward in a way that they say it will go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Mark Monson. I actually currently live on the island.
Please say your name again.
Mark Monson. I'm a resident of the island. I was living in Scottsdale for 21 years, and now the last 3 years I've been on the island. One thing that is prominent is there is a sewer smell right at the entrance of the nautical. And these guys brought it up. Might be the pond, not sure. But if they're going to do an underground sewer system as part of this project, that will help the island because there is a smell. And that would be greatly appreciated if that was taken away. The other thing is, I think the golf course is a complete eyesore right now. It's a dirt lot. When it's windy, that smell goes all over our community. It's dusty, and it's not a good storefront for the island and for our community. We have an ugly piece of dirt. So I think I'm all for this project, and my only concern is the traffic, and I'll leave that up to the Planning Commission, you guys, but I think it's great for the community. If you looked at the architecture, the people that are involved in this project that was on that slide, Scottsdale Quarter, if you've ever been to Scottsdale, that's an amazing property. Mixed use, great restaurants. These guys they plan that, and they're going to be planning this project. I think it's going to be 5-star, top-notch. Traffic is my only concern, but I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Please state your name for the record.
Good morning. Bonnie Toy. My main concern about this project is, will you guys please try to extend disability access, make sure that whatever plans they develop are very handicap accessible for everybody, because that is a really hard thing. And whether you guys like it or not, you guys are going to grow older. And from my understanding, 1 in 5 people have disability issues, and sometimes you don't realize it, and there's silent disability issues. So I really wish actually our whole city would be more handicap accessible and friendly beyond the American Disabilities Act, because the American Disabilities Act is just a minimum requirement, not a maximum requirement. Also, the traffic study he referenced is for 2 bridges, but right now there's only 1 bridge, and the second bridge has not been approved. And I was wondering if there's any way that if they would have to do a traffic study just based on 1 bridge, because even though you have the funds for a $35 million bridge, the bridge cost may, if it's extended beyond the $35 million, then you might not get a second bridge. And you don't know that yet. Also, the public access, I believe when I talked to him one day, he said that you can walk in. There will be public access from walking in, but he is allowed to charge for parking, just like anybody else. I really wish Rotary Park would go back to charging for parking minimum amount to help the city out, because it's not a bad idea. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks. Oh, did you know? I didn't know this until I don't like their name, Waterfront at Lake Havasu. So I researched some really neat, weird name things about like gemstones, and because that's supposed to be one of their gem projects, not products. Lake Havasu itself is on the end of the Sonoran Desert. I didn't realize that. And Sonoran is a gem.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else that wishes to speak on this item? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the table for applicant's rebuttal.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, again, John Berry, no rebuttal at all. We are still very much in our listening and collaborative mode, so I don't want to rebut any of those comments from any.
Sorry, poor choice of words.
Yeah, well, and no offense intended at all for you, but we very much, this is again evidence of the quality of the community involvement that we've experienced, and we thank everyone for taking the time during the day to show up. If I could just very quickly, the comments about infrastructure, we are very attuned to that. That came up, again, at both of our meetings, in conversations with city staff, again, in watching some of the council and commission meetings. I know how important roads are, quality of roads, quality of the infrastructure, water, sewer. Electricity is the first time I've heard that one, but I understand that. But I also appreciate city staff stepping up and educating all of us on what good shape Lake Havasu City is in, the forward planning they've done to address lots of those issues, so we don't have to worry about them, at least not yet. On the general plan issue, the speaker who spoke about this is a major general plan amendment. It's a great point. They're rare. In most communities, they're rare. But the general plan and the state statutes acknowledge that when a general plan lasts 10 years at a minimum, and sometimes longer, gosh, I don't look like I did 10 years ago, and things change. And so there are times where we have to consider changes in context. Is it appropriate to make these changes? The application process, our response to the application process, the number of meetings with city staff and the community that's required and that we volunteered in order to come forward with a major general plan amendment, I think we respect and dignify how unique this is by the quality of what we're proposing and the 2-year effort we've put into this. We don't take this cavalierly. We take this as a very important legacy and something that we're privileged to be able to make this application and come to you for your thoughts on this. So we understand his concern. On the public access portion of this, remember I said that the Island Beach Body zoning category has a requirement and that there has to be a 15-foot easement provided for public access. And as the city attorney will tell you, if we get to that point where we're approved by the city, we will have to put together a public access easement that ensures that the public does have free access to that 15-foot area. So your esteemed and learned city attorney will ensure that we are required to do that. So I'm confident that there will be those guarantees for the public access that's required. Let's see here. The comment about sending a message to the state land department not to rezone their land. I understand the frustration. In any community, change is difficult and growth is difficult. In the valley, I served on a transportation commission in this community. And one of the things when we went out to the community to talk about new transportation projects, I would hear the response, well, we don't want any more traffic. We don't want anything new going on. And I would, cheeky fellow that I am, I would ask people to raise their hand as if they had moved to this city since 1960 when I moved there. And there were like 3 hands that would go up. And I would cheekily say, well, you know what? My family wouldn't have a traffic problem if you hadn't moved here. So we understand traffic is an issue. But I think one of the speakers talked about this piece of property was not going to continue as a golf course. It had been vacant for 6 years before the state land department brought it to auction. And it's an eyesore, as one of the residents said, of the island. So we hope this is an improvement on that. We appreciated the comments from one of the speakers that they supported this, wanted to know the phasing, the order that this would proceed. In your development plan book is a phasing graphic that identifies the areas of phasing. We anticipate, and again, things can change, but we anticipate that the first thing we would develop is the resort. That anchors our community. So we anticipate that the resort would be the first thing that we would develop. After that would likely come the housing, and finally would probably be the retail as the final phase. But that, again, here's the Weasley lawyer caveat. Things can change, and we can't guarantee that. And then Ms. Toy's comments. In both of our public outreach, I've spent a lot of time with her, and I've enjoyed getting to know her. We think we could rename it Toydale instead, if that was okay with her. We appreciate her comments, and I did watch a meeting where she did make some excellent points about the needs for disability access, particularly in buildings that are 3 and 4 stories tall. So I took that to heart. We took that to heart. We'll, of course, conform to all state and federal requirements for ADA accessibility, but she's a great advocate for that in the community, and we're listening to that. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'm happy to answer any more questions that you may have, and thank you again.
All right, at this point, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the table for commissioners' questions of the applicant. Anybody? Ms. Wilson.
Question, how quickly after a major plan amendment, or maybe this is a staff question as well, why are we not doing planning? Why are we not doing 2 parts together versus we're just doing major plan amendment, and then I'm assuming at some point you guys will be coming back and
a major plan amendment requires 2 public hearings in two different locations. So we have to hold this one at a separate location from where we're normally going to be, which is over at the municipal court in the normal council meeting chambers. And that second public hearing will be there on November 5th, followed immediately by the PD rezone to Island Body Beach hearing regarding the same matter. So we kind of have to jump the gun a bit with a preliminary hearing, but there's also no action required at this hearing. It's just a comment collection hearing. At the next meeting, action can be taken.
so action for the major plan amendment, and we're going to do a PD overlay, correct?
And that will be the following hearing. So those will be the only 2 items at our next meeting, or the November 5th meeting.
Chair Harris, Vice Chair, so I'm clear. So at the November 5th meeting, there'll be 2, I don't know if we're going to have 2 separate hearings, we're just going to combine them, and then 2 separate votes. But eventually there'll be 2 separate votes on a major general plan amendment, and then a next vote, whether it's after another presentation or at the same time, would be on this rezoning case. Is that correct?
Well, we have 2 separate public hearings. Okay. There'll be 2 separate items on the agenda. Okay. And there'll be first the general plan amendment, so you'll need a presentation for that. And then there'll be a separate public hearing only on the PD rezone. So you'll need a presentation for that as well.
As a lawyer, more time is good, so thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Zero.
Yes, this one's probably for Chief. I see him in the audience there. There was some concerns people raised about access for fire departments. We know currently it's fine. This is a big project, and we will hopefully have the second bridge they're saying before it's done. Do you have any concerns at this point with the project versus the safety that your people provide for the city?
You knew we were going to get you up here.
Thank you, Chair, Commission. At this time during this preliminary, our current operations with the bridge that is currently functioning is going to meet our needs for this development as is. So, thank you.
And for the record, that was Pete Palafis, Fire Chief.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Thornton?
So I guess my bigger concern is, I guess a lot of what the public says. I like this project. I think it's great. I'm all about development and growth in this city. A lot of you guys know that. My concern being that this is not a planned development, I think it should be, is everything that you guys are saying. It's great, public access, and everyone's going to be able to do this, and the community is going to enjoy everything. What's to keep you guys from changing that as you're building? It doesn't seem like there's enough control that we're going to have where the people can have a bigger voice or have a say so, or we'll feel like we get restricted from what we were promised. And it's an easy thing for you guys to be able to change as you're developing.
Question to add on to that, can that be included in deed restrictions?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, there are two levels of potential control on this. One is the city, and the other would be private restrictions or deed restrictions that the chair identified. So as to the city, my understanding is, and this is the first thing I've ever done in Havasu, but my understanding is, in looking at other cases, and maybe Mr. Gilbert can answer this, is there will be a stipulation that says we have to substantially conform to the approval and the development plan, the things that we've said we're going to do. And I don't know if that's the correct phrase, substantial conformance, but for example, in going through our development plan, we've talked about maybe needing to move an access point, right? And city staff has identified that we may have to, if we change these access points, we might have to come back through, likely would have to come back through this whole process before Planning Commission and City Council. So I think and again, Mr. Gilbert would be the correct one to answer this, but my understanding is, and I've got very little to no experience on this here, is that maybe the city attorney can chime in, but once we're locked into the approved plan, then we have to develop that approved plan. And I know, I remember you had a case recently where someone, I think it was Riviera, wanted to change a small little piece of property and do 15 townhomes on it or something as part of the whole Riviera project. And they had to come back, they had to change the size of the houses and the lots and come back through that whole process with you all. Well, that same type of strict adherence to what you guys or the council approves, we have to conform to that as well. So apply that on 80 or 90 acres, and you would see us if we needed to make those types of changes and come back. So I think you do get a very strong level of control out of this through the city and through what the city attorney ensures. The other is the deed restrictions. So that's, Chair, that's not something that I've encountered. And so let us noodle on that and see if there's some way we can add a second belt and suspenders to give you the assurance that the quality that we're committing to you're going to get. I will tell you that you don't spend $400 million without ensuring that you're going to do a super high quality project and product. But I also understand you live here and you want to ensure that that is absolutely the case. So message received. Let us figure that one out.
Okay.
Mr.
Any
Vice
other
Chair?
questions? Mr. Gilbert?
To clarify on that,
let's go to Kelly
I was just going to clarify that as well. If I'm understanding your question correctly, so right now we're just talking about the general plan amendment.
Correct.
At a future date, we'll bring back the rezoning, which will include a planned development. So all of that will be locked in like we do with any other planned development. So just at this time, we're just talking about that overarching changes to the general plan, and then we'll come back for the rezone and get into the details of the planned amendment or the planned development.
But it's on the record now.
Yeah, it's. I
Okay.
mean that part will come back. We're just,
Okay.
We're not there yet.
Mr. Gilbert.
Regarding some of the details that Mr. Thornton brought up, the detailed parts of his question, when it comes to individual factors like access, things like that, if it's not in our code, basically the city has the ordinance approving the PD that will have requirements and conditions attached. And then there's a development agreement that will follow that will address other factors of the project. And then there's the restrictive covenants. If our codes do not require anything, or the ordinance does not specifically state something that we can enforce, it has to be handled through the deed restrictions. And typically, when parts of the project develop, we ask for a copy of the deed restrictions, and we help the developer to along when we look at those. Like, oh, have you thought about this? Since that was brought up at the hearing, that kind of thing. So, deed restrictions are a private way of enforcing things that we can enforce, which would be, for example, public access in the development.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Any other questions of the applicant or staff? Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Thank you all very much.
Appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing you again.
And we'll bring it back to the table for staff's conclusions. Mr. Gilbert?
I was sorry, I missed that.
We're done. What do you have to conclude?
Well, for future meeting, there is one application for a PD rezone at the Havasu Mall area at our next meeting, which is on October 15, 2025. And then, of course, on November 5th will be the follow-up to today. Also, it's my understanding that the Buffalo Wild Wings up at the Mall Theater is now open. So I just want to mention that. That's a great economic development win for the city and another restaurant opportunity.
All right. At this point, I'll open the call to the public. If anybody would like to speak to the commission on any item whatsoever, we may not respond, but you may have your time at the microphone. Anybody at all?
Hello, Bonnie Toy. I would just like to reiterate the need for accessibility for people with handicaps, and the fact that the ADA is just a minimum requirement, and that as a city you are allowed to ask for more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Floyd. Anybody else? Call to the public. Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the call to the public. And our next meeting is November 5th. Is that correct?
Sorry, I guess I gave that out of order there.
That's all right.
No, our next meeting is on October 15th, and we have the one PD rezone case on the agenda.
Okay.
November 5th will be the follow-up to this hearing. The second one will be on November 5th, as well as and followed immediately by the Island Body Beach PD rezone for this same project. So it'll be 2 consecutive hearings. Each one will have its own public comment taken. So be prepared for a fairly lengthy meeting.
Thank you for the clarification. At this point, we stand adjourned. Thank you all.